So we are talking about people of the desert Southwest, farmers of the Great Plains, and we will also do, wildlife, but the wildlife one doesn't need any vocabulary words. So let's quickly go over our words that are on the board right up there, okay? The first one is called a mesa. Can you say that with me? Mesa. That is a broad, flat-topped, elevated area of land. It's almost like, not quite the cliff, but like the flat part that's elevated up there, okay? Then we have a pueblo. Have you talked about pueblos in Spanish? Pueblo. A pueblo is like kind of a stone house. It's a house made all out of stones or like rocks, okay? Pueblos are actually made out of our next word called adobe, okay? So what can you infer about adobe then? It's kind of like brick, yep. It's brick or building material that's made out of sun-dried earth, so like mud and straw. They made bricks. They didn't have them to buy at Target or at like Menards, right? They had to make them. Then we also have our next word is a really long word. It's called matrilineal. Can you say that with me? Matrilineal. That is when you go back through all of your ancestors on mom or dad's side, do you think?
Dad. No, mom.
Why mom? What kind of gives it away? Christian? Look at the word. What about the word kind of tells us that it might be more like mom? Holly? It kind of looks like that ma at the beginning, right? So it's going back to your mom's great ancestors, okay? The next one is called a kiva. Can you say that? Kiva. That's an underground ceremonial chamber. So almost like it's in the basement, okay? Those were found inside those pueblos, those houses. Then we have nomadic. Do you know what a nomad or nomadic means? Anyone? Really? A nomad is somebody who doesn't have a home and they travel from place to place. They keep traveling. Remember we talked about why were the pre-Columbian people nomadic? Remember they didn't really have a set place. Why didn't they have a set place? Remember, Zach? Well, there might be push and pull factors. You were right. Rosie?
Because once they live there for a long time, they kill animals, and then they run out of animals, so they have to
Yeah, they followed the animals, right? They didn't stay in one place in case they ran out of food. They had to follow the animals. And the last one we got is an earth lodge. That's a big dome made where it has a wooden frame. And can you guess what they cover it with? Earth. They cover it with grass and mud, anything you can find on earth, they would cover their lodges with. Okay? So, I have, my magazine online looks a little different than yours, doesn't it? Okay? So what we're going to do is, for some parts, I'm going to have it read it, and then sometimes I'll ask for a few volunteers. Do you remember how I pick volunteers? People volunteering and following along, not just when you want to read. You got to kind of earn it, right? Okay, so let's read or follow along and listen to a little bit about the people of the desert Southwest.
People of the desert Southwest, from pre-Columbian people of America. Little rain falls in the Southwest. Some parts are desert. The rest is very dry. When rain does come, it often pours down in short, strong thunderstorms that cause flash floods. This climate doesn't seem like a very good place for people, especially for farmers. Yet Native Americans of the Southwest were expert farmers. They grew crops of corn, beans, squash, and cotton. The Hopi were one group of Pueblo people living in the Southwest in 1492. Like some other Pueblo peoples, they lived in multi-story buildings or houses. These were built on the tops of mesas, high, flat-topped hills. They were also built on the sides of cliffs. Put on your hiking boots and climb the long, winding stone stairway to the top of the mesa. The people of the Pueblo are waiting there to meet you.
All right, so taking a look at the picture, this is the same one in your magazine, right? Mine's just in the middle. Can you point to where the Pueblos would have been in the picture? Can you point on your picture? Yeah, up in that top area, kind of where you see those little cutouts. Those were probably like their doorways, right? Okay. Do you remember what they made their Pueblos out of? That earth. Do you remember that word adobe?
Yeah.
Adobe, they made it out of like that red kind of clay. All right, so let's read the one that's by the red little guy. Alicia, can you come on up and read about that? So you come up with your magazine. All right, we're reading about most Pueblos. Go ahead.
Most pueblos or villages stood 2 or 3 stories high. Pueblos were made of clay, sun-baked bricks called
Adobe. Yep.
adobe. The bottom floors had no doors or windows, so attackers couldn't get in. People entered rooms through a hole in the roof or in the floor above.
Good.
There were 75 to 60 or more rooms.
600.
600
Yeah.
or more rooms in the village. As new people came, builders simply added new rooms to the old ones.
Yeah. How smart. They didn't have regular doorways. Because otherwise, what could happen? Anyone could walk through, right? Where did they put their doorways?
Up on the roof.
Maddie? Up on the roof. Because if you really wanted to get in, what do you have to do? Climb up. And what does that give the people inside? What does that allow the people inside to do? Get ready to run or to attack them, right? Because they can hear them coming because they're coming across the roof. There's only one way in, so they can have them. They know where you're coming from. All right, let's read the next one. Let's go over to the Hopi Society where it has that little ladder by it. Can I have Levi? Can you come on up with your magazine? We're gonna scroll to where is it? The Hopi Society. There it is.
The
Yep.
Hopi Society is a material.
Matrilineal. Yep, that new word.
Hopi people trace their
Ancestry is a big word.
ancestry through their mother's family. Several families from Planet. The oldest woman is leader of daily life. Her brother is the leader of
Ceremonies.
and rituals. Each pueblo had a
Kiva, yep.
a special underground room where only men and boys could enter. Secret ceremonies were held in the kiva.
Good. So they had their society was based off of whose side of the family? Mom's, okay? And then the oldest woman, so think about like Moana. Was grandma kind of in charge of a lot?
Yeah.
She was, right? But who leads all like the ceremonies and stuff? The dad did, right? In Moana? So theirs are very similar. Their traditions are very similar. Whereas mom is like grandma, the head is the head, but dad is doing a lot of stuff, right? Dad's kind of like leading everything, but grandma really has the say. Okay? And then in those basements, like in that picture, who was allowed in there? Only boys. That's just the way that they let it. Only boys were allowed in. Okay? So let's read about... let's come to the Pueblo people over by the map. I'll try and find that part in here. Can I have Christian, can you come up and read about the Pueblo peoples? There we go.
Pueblo peoples lived in the area we now call the Southwest. The Hopi Mandan home in what is now northeastern Arizona. The Hopi traded with other peoples, including those of Mexico. Some of the things they traded for were parrot feathers, copper, and turquoise.
Ooh, do you know what turquoise is?
It's a color.
It's a color, but it's actually from like a rock. It's like a gem almost. So they would trade for those rocks.
Like kind of like amethyst.
Kind of like an amethyst, but that turquoise color, so like that bright blue. But the rock was like that bright, pretty blue. Lizzie, can you come read about the Hopi Woman? We're looking for the picture of this girl.
Right next to it.
Yep.
This Hopi woman was photographed in 1906. She wears the ancient squash blossom hairstyle of her people. Women wore it when they were old enough to get married.
And they were. So, was this woman old enough? Yeah, she was. All right, let's read. We got the Hopi Woman made. Camille, can you come read about what they made?
The Hopi woman made the pottery and baskets they used for serving and storing food. Some bowls had a snake designed on them. The snake was a symbol of lightning and rain.
A symbol of lightning and rain. Ooh. All right, and we got the southwestern corn. Brooke, can you come read about the southwestern corn?
Southwestern corn comes in 6 colors. For the Hopi, yellow corn stood from the north, blue corn stood for the west, red corn for the south, and white corn for the east. Purple corn stood for the sky, gray corn for the underworld, and Hopi ate corn at every meal. Popcorn was a treat.
Mm-hmm. So they had corn as one of their main staples. Remember how we talked about like the Irish when we did the push and pull factors?
Mm-hmm.
They did potatoes, right? The Hopi relied a lot on corn, and popcorn was a special treat. How many of you had popcorn for snack today? Yeah, they only had that like once in a while. Think how lucky we are that we can have it like anytime we want. All right, and we have one more part about the cachinas. Monica, can you come read? I gotta find that part. There it is. Nope. Yes. All right, go ahead. I'll come this way a little bit so the computer can get you. Okay.
Kachinas were powerful spirits that played a big part in the lives of the Hopi. People wearing different Kachina masks gave prayers to the Kachina spirits for a good harvest. Hopi girls were given dolls carved and dressed to look like Kachinas. Those dolls helped the children learn about the different spirits.
Awesome. So why were the dolls related to the religion? Why would they make dolls related to their religion? Lily? And what were the Kachinas? What would they help the girls learn about? About the different spirits, yeah. What was the most important food for the Hopi people? What do they rely on? Micah? Corn. They had it. When did they eat it? Not every second, at every single meal, including breakfast. Imagine eating corn for breakfast. Oh my goodness. I got a good question for you. How can you infer that the Hopi were sometimes involved in wars? Think through, what did we read? What kind of leads us to infer that they were involved in wars? Peter? The hole was in their roof, right? They didn't have windows or doors, so the attackers couldn't get in. Awesome. All right, let's turn the page. Oh, down in the bottom, the Hopis practice. Yes. Amelia, can you come read? Yes, Brooke.
Also, I actually inferred that you see the suit number here, like the falcon. I think that was one of the Hopi spirits because when I hear about Indian stuff, they mostly sometimes serve an eagle god or something. It's right there.
There it is. Maybe that could be too. You're right. All right, Miss Amelia. 2 steps this way so the computer can hear you. And speak loud. All right, go ahead.
The Hopi practiced what is called dry farming. They captured every bit of water available. One of the ways they did this was to plant seeds deep in the sand that had rock beneath it. As the plant grew, its roots soaked up water left in the ground from rains or flash floods. The rock kept the water from draining away.
Yeah, because remember, think back to that map up on the top. They are, where do we say, like in America today? Did you catch where they were? Arizona. What does that mean about the climate there?
It's like
Isaac, what does it mean? It's like a desert, and what does a desert mean? Not just hot.
No water.
There's no water, so they had to do that dry farming, right? They had to make it work because they didn't have water. Christian?
Actually, though, at like nighttime, and like when it's desert, when you see the desert, you can go see the all the time. But at night, it actually gets pretty cold.
At night, it can get really cold in the desert. That's why it's so dangerous, because it can go from 110 degrees down to like 40. It can get really cold. Let's look at the next page with Farmers of the Great Plains. We're going to listen to the intro part, okay?
Farmers of the Great Plains, from pre-Columbian people of America. The western Great Plains is a flat, dry area. Tall grasses once grew everywhere there. In 1492, high winds whipped across the plains, carrying dirt or the flames of fast-moving lightning fires. Winters were very cold. Summers sizzled. More rain fell in the eastern parts of the Great Plains. 500 years ago, few Native Americans lived all year on the Great Plains. Many peoples were nomadic, following buffalo herds. They hunted on the plains in warm weather. They wintered in the mountains or woodlands that bordered the plains. One group that did live on the plains was the Mandan people. The women raised corn, squash, beans, and sunflowers. The men hunted bears, deer, rabbits, and buffalo. Buffalo grazed on tall plains grasses. Every spring and fall, the Mandan tracked the buffalo across the plains. One such hunt has already started. Clouds of dust are rising in the distance. A buffalo herd must be near. Let's catch up with these hunters.
All right, let's read about the Mandan lived by that map picture. Lily, can you come read about that one? I love how quickly you guys are coming up when you volunteer. It's awesome. All right, go ahead, nice and loud.
The Mandan lives along the banks of the Missouri River in present-day North Dakota. Plains culture stretched from Alberta, Canada, to the Texas Panhandle.
Good.
The Mandan traded vegetables and other goods with the
What was that word? The vocab word, remember?
nomadic plains people who did not grow their own food.
Okay, so that green part is where it's stretched around. Think through, are they too far away from where we are today? No, these people are really close, because North Dakota's, let's say, that black spot, we are like right here on the edge of like the green. So we are really, really close to where they lived and where they worked. Why would they trade food with nomadic people? Oh, didn't mean to do that. Why would they trade with the nomadic people? Why would the nomadic people want to trade with them? Monica?
because nomadic didn't grow their own food.
Why could the nomadic people not grow their own food? Zane?
Because they didn't have enough water there.
Well, that was the other magazine. Think through, what does nomadic mean? You can think through, what does that nomadic people mean? Can you help them out, Isaac? They traveled, right? Did they have time to stop and plant and wait for corn to grow?
No.
No, they didn't. They would take a long time to grow crops, and the nomadic people would move around. So they would trade with the Mandan people. All right, let's read about on the bottom of the Mandan lived. This is right underneath that top picture where it says the Mandan lived large domed houses.
Yeah,
Up there. Holly, can you come read that part? It's on the left. It's on page 8. Or The Mandan lived.
The Mandan lived in a large domed house called Earth Lodges. A rounded frame of branches was covered with earth to keep the lodge warm in winter and cool in summer. Some lodges housed several families and their animals. When a Mandan man married, he moved into his wife's lodge. Women owned the lodges. Each Mandan live had its own government. There was a general council, and members were chosen for special leadership. One was a skilled warrior, the other had skills for keeping the peace. Another member took care of day-to-day
Governing. Good. So who owned the houses? Who owned the woman did, right? A little bit opposite of what we just read. The women owned the houses. And their governments, are they similar to ours?
No. Yeah.
They had people chosen to be in charge, right? We kind of choose. Remember we talked about we vote for people to be in charge? They chose though, but they have same people who are good at different things. All right, let's read the next one where it's every summer. It's right to the right of that picture. Let's have Zane, can you come up and read every summer?
Every summer, the Mandan held a 4-day celebration called Okopia.
Good.
Men wearing buffalo skins and masks did dances that copied movements of the animals they hunted. Older people told stories of the Mandan past. Young men took part in tests of strength and courage.
So they do that every summer, okay? They would get together and have a big celebration where they would do those different actions. All right, let's go to the Mandan Used. Where's that? All the way on the right on page 9. Claire, I haven't heard from you. Let's have you come up. Mandan Used. With that little black and white little sketch-looking photograph.
That looks nice. The Mandan used buffalo hides to make bull boats for river travel. They did this by stretching the hides over a tub-shaped framework
Good.
of willow tree branches. A bull boat could carry several people.
So look at that. They would take the hide. Do you know what the hide of an animal is? The skin of it, and they'd stretch it over these branches until they could make those boats. I know your picture is really tiny, but if you look on the screen, you see how big that they were. Imagine that they're stretching out this bull that's already a bit, or the buffalo that's already big, and they're stretching it even farther now so they can make a boat out of it. Remember we talked about, did they waste any part of animals? They keep all of those parts. Good. All right, let's go down on the very bottom of the picture. It's early fall. It's early fall. Micah, can you come read that part? All right, we gotta get going to music. So nice and loud. Nice and loud.
The Mandan on the plains are hunting buffalo. On this day, they're using a plan called the buffalo jump. Wearing a buffalo skin as a disguise, the hunt leader walks ahead of the herd, trying to lead it towards the cliff's edge. Other hunters walk behind the herd. When the leader gives a signal, all the hunters stamp their feet and make loud noises and move torches to frighten the buffaloes. Scared animals run straight over the edge of the cliff and fall to their death. The buffalo hunters use dogs. Should I read that part?
Sure, keep going. Buffalo hunters.
Buffalo hunters use dogs to carry supplies. The goods were placed in a pack made of a small skin frame, tied to 2 poles. One end of each pole was tied to another dog's shoulder. The other ends of the trailed on the ground. Dogs can carry up to 75 pounds on a frame. They could also decide to run away and chase a rabbit.
So they use the dogs to help them carry, but what do you know about dogs? They chase things, right? They get excited, so it would take all their goods away. Then if it saw a rabbit, it would trail it off the wood, so it's kind of a risk. But then the men didn't have to carry all of that. Isn't that kind of smart though? Like, I mean, a little gruesome, this part with the buffalo, but how smart, right? We can either go on take on a buffalo one at a time, or we can get them when they're around a cliff, and we can get a lot of food for our village really easy.
Wait, what do they do once the buffaloes run out?
Once the buffaloes run off, then they come down the cliff, and then they would carry them back.
But how do they get down?
They would probably walk down a different way. Are the buffalo going to go anywhere?
No.
They're not going to run away. Isaac? Yes. All right. That is all we have for social studies today.